Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneur City Summit, where we're going to peek behind the curtains at the success secrets of top wealth wizards. And I am your host and producer, Danielle Fitzpatrick-Clark. And today I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I'm really excited. We have Chris Kyle today, and he is a business coach, speaker, author, and e-learning expert who is committed to empowering authors, teachers, experts, and change agents to light up the world with their message. He is the creator of Launch Academy, which is a live online training program that guides participants through a proven process to create and launch their online courses and grow their global community. So he's created and hosted the Power of Purpose Global Summit with 14,000 participants. Whoa. That's amazing. And the Man on Purpose 7-week online course, and co-hosted the Conscious Men Summit with John Gray. And I don't know how to pronounce Arjuna.
Arjuna Ardagh. Right.
I butcher names.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a hard one for me to learn, that one. Yeah.
I do. I think that I'm hoping everyone finds it funny because I've done it a few times with the speakers on this summit already. So thanks for coming on, Chris. We really appreciate you coming on board. So I know you had an awesome bio, and I probably missed a couple things. Would you mind filling us in on some of the other things you're up to?
Yeah, well, thanks. It's just great to be with you here. I'm so tickled to be in this conversation with you and to be talking about kind of maybe the way I like to think about it is the idea of being an authentic entrepreneur. You know, like how do we bring our authenticity into our businesses more? And so for me, I think you hit all the high notes. I mean, a little bit of my story is I was basically in big pharma and the corporate world for many years, and decided to leave and start my own travel company, which was my first foray into being an entrepreneur, and ran that for a bunch of years and sold it. And then after that became like many people do, is if you have a business, you ran it, you grew it, you sold it, is then you become a consultant, right?
Yep.
So you help other people do it, right? Yep. So I helped other people sell their businesses in the travel industry, and did some consulting in the travel, joined a big company and helped them grow from zero revenue to 120 million in about 3 years, called Grand Expeditions. And then I just really kind of the light bulb went off for me after September 11th, 2001. If you remember that date, big day, and it just decimated the travel industry among many other things in our culture. And I took a year off, and I took a left turn, if you will, into saying I really want to help people more, not only grow their business but really transform their life. So I really knew I wanted to work more with one-on-one with people and in small groups, and really helping people to grow their business, but also grow their life. So that kind of led me on a journey of working with authors and speakers and transformational experts and coaches and all of them to, first of all, just help them build their business. And then that grew into my passion of really focusing on the e-learning space, on online courses. And it's been super fun and super rich over the last several years of really focusing on that part of my business and what I do with Launch Academy and my own coaching practice around that.
Wow. Yeah. So 2001, that seems to be a big turning point for a lot of people in the industry of entrepreneurship. So we're gonna talk more about the online launch space, but I kind of want to just dig in just a little bit more, because I feel like that was like a profound year for you, because you took a whole year off. What was that like to take that year off?
Yeah, kind of. I'll tell my story, but for those listening, is just to know that there are moments in time, especially as a business owner and entrepreneur, or just in your life, where sometimes you just need to shift gears, unplug, not have a plan, not have a new plan ready. And so after that, I took off. I actually traveled the world. Wow. So I was in Fiji and Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, and finished my time in Thailand. And it was really my grand journey. I'd been in the travel industry so long, and I'd done a bunch of travel, but it was all kind of business related, checking hotels and operators. So I took my big grand journey, and it was really meant to be, who am I now? What do I want to create? And it gave me the space to do that. I mean, I invested in myself to take that time off. I wasn't in a relationship at the time, so that helped. And, so it was, I was able to take the time and really just go deep. And what came out of that was, oh, I'm really more of a transformational change agent. I do a lot of men's work. I've been doing men's work for years on the side. I've been, doing a coaching, sort of life coaching and business coaching, all of those. And then I just realized that I hadn't really built a business around that. And so that got really clear on my trip that I want to come back and really focus on, that individual transformational work, business and person, together.
Yes. Yeah, very integrated. I love that. I had a feeling there was something really profound that happened in that year. And I love that you say that as a travel agent, you never got to really be present in the travel. So that's amazing.
Right.
We're, as entrepreneurs sometimes and consultants, we tend to not do what we teach so well.
That's so true. Yeah, and we sometimes get locked into doing things that kind of on a day-to-day basis that we don't really like or want to do within our businesses. And sometimes that can be a drag, an energetic drag on the whole business and sense of purpose and aliveness. Yeah. And so that is definitely, I face that in my own businesses, and I can feel the pull sometimes when I'm really not aligned with what I love and doing what I love, and then finding the support to help me with the stuff that I'm not so good at, and getting support and coaching in areas that I need help in. Yeah. So that I can stay more focused on what's my genius, what's my particular genius.
Yeah, it's a happy dance that we have to play sometimes as an entrepreneur. Oh, that's such a great story. Yeah. So I love that you work with change agents and transformation. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, how does that translate into online learning and courses? How can, other change agents do that if that's the road they want to take?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think wherever you are and whatever business you're in, I think it's ultimately about how am I communicating with the people that could benefit from what I have to offer, and how am I nurturing and growing that base of people, whatever it is, right? So it could be a coaching program, it could be a course that I teach, an online course, it could be just a series of webinars, but we all know that we're in the world of, technology. And more, the first line of learning people are having is through a virtual learning experience, more and more. I mean, before it would be an in-person workshop, or, you'd read a book, go to a workshop, and then you might go to a school where you physically learn in a space with other people. The challenge now is that first line learning is shifting so much to that first step. If I were to take a program with you or want to learn more about you, Danielle, that now more and more that first step is some kind of webinar or online course or some other virtual medium, even if it's a series of YouTube videos. So I think every entrepreneur is almost by default now, to a certain degree, an online entrepreneur, an online marketing entrepreneur. And it just depends on what level you want to play at. And so I do think that right now the ways to get your message out, to light up the world with your message, is primarily still through books, and now ebooks, and now more and more through online learning opportunities, online courses or free events. So those become the two levers for almost any change agent, any coach or entrepreneur. So I teach people how to create online courses and how to create the webinars and the things that they need to do to launch their courses.
Yeah, and you hit on so many good points too. And are you finding that sometimes those courses are a way to pre-educate too? I know it's a big part of like the trust factor and gaining trust from cold prospects, but are you finding that people are using it to kind of pre-educate into what it is that they do and how they can help too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, again, I think everybody, if you have your own business, is going to be playing at some level where you're creating some trust, pre-educating, you're creating more trust through your virtual offerings, videos and other things. You're also pre-educating for future programs, right? So you might have an introductory, a 2-hour webinar that leads to an introductory 7-week online course. And what you really are passionate about is that you've got a year-long program, right? And that year-long program might have 1 or 2 retreats plus some calls on Zoom between it, whatever you're thinking. And you can't really just offer right out of the gate the year-long program, right? So you do some work to pre-educate, to prepare people, to give people some steps so that they can move to that big program, or that longer program where if they don't really know you, haven't really built a relationship with you, it's a hard jump to make for them. And it's not even the dollars, it's the time commitment, right? got a 4-month program or a 6-month program or a year-long program, the cost may be prohibitive to some people, but it's also the time.
Yeah.
So you need some steps, right? You need to help people take steps toward what it is that you would like them to engage with you around.
Absolutely. And I love that you're bringing technology into it. And what's coming to mind is like, oh, is that going to make it? It's technology so hard though. How am I supposed to figure this all out? So I would love for you to kind of give us some information on how you can create online courses without getting bogged down with like all the technology that comes into play.
Yeah, because that is one of the big challenges I hear people saying is the number one thing they say is overwhelm.
Yeah.
Right? In general, it's some of it's technology, a lot of it's technology, but some of it's how to put it all together and how do I market it, how do I find people, all that. So the number one issue is overwhelm. Yeah. And the way I can say this is because I know a lot of people come to me and they think that the technology itself is the solution to the online course. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh, I've got this idea for a course, and it's like a 5-week thing. And gosh, if I just found the right platform, I don't know if is that Teachable, is that Kajabi? They think that's it. And I will tell you right now, that is like one small portion of putting together a program that is, that's transformative, that people want to buy, that you have raving participants coming out of. So I'll just give you my little spiel here around the sort of what I call the 4 essential elements. So the 4 essential elements for creating a best of class, lucrative, transformative online course is that you first actually need to think about your content and making sure that the way you focus on it is transformative in nature, not informational in nature.
Yes. Yep.
So, and this is when you're teaching a course. I don't mean this is just like a series of YouTube videos. I mean when you actually have some content or you've written an ebook and you have the 5 steps to entrepreneurial success or something like that, then you would teach those 5 steps, right? And so the focus of transformative content is to making sure that somebody is actually guided through a process, a sequential process of step 1 to step 2, to step 3, 4, 5, so that they actually have a change in their life or a behavioral shift.
Yes.
So many people create informational products where those 5 steps aren't connected. It's just this thing, then you do that thing, and then this thing, and it's kind of jumping around. They haven't thought about their content, and so it's really key to be into transformational thinking. Yeah.
And if people are wondering, like, well, what does that look like? Think back on something that you have been taught, or you've sought out education, and you're just like, you have that aha moment, like, oh, I get it.
Right.
That makes total sense now, and you can connect the dots. That's the kind of content that you want to produce.
That's right. Those aha moments, those sense of that something opens, and then the next session even opens it more. And so by the end of a whole arc of 5 weeks or 7 weeks or whatever, is that somebody has actually moved through those aha moments, those little aha moments, so that at the end they're feeling they've got the tools, they've got the insight, they've got the support to actually create the change that they want or to manifest what they want. And so it's so important to have that focus on transformation, those steps, but also in a transformational learning experience, you really want to have the community learning from each other. Yes. So it's not just the student to teacher, teacher to student, but that the students have a way to interact and learn from each other, and that there's always practices and exercises embedded into the learning. So it's not just all talking at you. So a good example of that is like for what I teach in Launch Academy is I have people really investigate their avatar, right? Who is their especially for audience? And so in that audience, in that work, is one of the practices is they go and interview people that they think are their avatar, right? So you're embedding, you're not just having them think through it or just writing, but you're giving them an actual practice to connect with that person, interview them around questions that I ask, and then start using that to inform their writing and all the copy that they'll be writing in the marketing. And so that's just one example of then every module will have some kind of core practice. If it's a spiritual oriented program, it would be then probably a daily meditation with journaling or something like that. So that's where you really start to embed in more of the transformational learning. And that's really the first key element. And it's where people just think they've got the content and they're just going to throw it up. If I have the right platform, it'll be fine. And I'm saying, no, you have to really think about what you're going to teach and what you're going to embed in a very limited time, because you
Yeah.
in an online course, you don't have a lot of time with them in any given week.
Beautiful. So you're talking about transformation in the content, like transformational content, and then experiential experiential content where it's more that kind of a hands-on learning as much as you can online, right? So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And
And that's part, and I
yeah,
consider that part of the transformational art. I mean, that
yeah,
the experiences you have are all part of a transformative experience.
yep.
But yes, you bring experiential exercises as part of that whole transformative uh,
Yeah,
banner, if you will. Yeah.
beautiful. And guys, I just want to hone in on this point that Chris is making. This is where online is going. This is where all of online and marketing is going. So I'm so glad that you're talking about this. It's
Yeah.
often not talked about.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah.
there's such a flood of informational products and
Yep.
just, 3 videos together, and there's no connection to a learning community. I just downloaded, and you probably know these stats, but I'm going to give it
Yeah.
right now. In the online learning space, all of those products that don't have what we call like evergreen products or informational online learning products that are just courses that are prepackaged. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You just go on, you buy them. The completion rates of where people buy that course, there's no interaction with the teacher, just on video and all that. There's no interaction with the learning community, even by Facebook. That the completion rates are less than 10% of people who buy it. So this is that flood of just, it's easy to put it out there. I don't have to think about it. It's available 24/7. Yeah, that's good for the teacher, but for the student's experience, it's not very good.
Yeah.
And so when you actually start thinking about engaging the students more, having things like your Facebook page and regular live calls during the course, or maybe run the course live, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then you actually have an interaction where people are then completing the course more like 30 to 40%. So you've got like under 10% or 30 to 40% and raving fans that say, wow, I got a lot out of that. That was really powerful. And I got to talk to the teacher and the other students.
Yeah.
And so now you've got, if more and more people do that, you have, I think, better experiences in the online learning world than right now. There's just a lot of static out there, a lot of crap.
You said it right there. There's a lot of crap out there. But you're touching on such a wonderful point. Like I said, I'm just thrilled that you're talking about this. Because what you're doing with that 40% that does finish is that you're just setting yourself up to sell them more and getting lifelong fans. A lot of people talk about, well, I just want to sell, this is a great product and put it out there, I want that sales. And that's just that instant gratification, really. It's like, oh, I sold a product, now it's out there, I don't have to worry about it. But to what you're saying is, like, if you create these transformational products, these ones where people are getting their hands in and then communicating, something that people are starving for right now. By the way, they're starving for it, the connection.
Exactly.
Is that you're getting a lifelong fan and client, and that's going to make your sales process down the road so much easier.
Absolutely. And this is a little pull behind the curtain, like you were saying. So in all the stuff that I do for myself, I'm always looking at seeing if I can think about and create a curriculum roadmap. So I'm always looking at my roadmap. So even if I create a 5-week introductory experience, I'm already thinking about, before I even launch that, what might be the advanced, the 2-month or 3-month experience, or what's the retreat that I want them to come into, and then what's the mastermind group after that.
Yes.
So part of it is that lifelong relationship you're talking about. And so many people in the online learning space just kind of, I got this one idea for a course, plop. And I always challenge people, and this is a little look behind the curtain, is making sure that they're thinking about, where do they go with this person that has this great experience with them in their 5-week course. And that's my belief is you're doing a disservice to the community of learners that you've brought in, where they're having a great experience. And if you don't have something to help them maybe move to the next step if they're ready, you're actually doing a disservice where they're ready to take a next step with you. They want them. And if you're like, oh my God, I just got that one course up and that's plenty, you're really not thinking about the potential for how you move more deeply with them. Even if it's just a coaching package on the other side of that program. It doesn't have to be another course. It could just be a 6-month coaching package to support them in whatever they're doing. And then those that are ready will jump on that. Like you said, they'll be boom. And those that won't, they'll get a lot of value and be like, that was great for me. And then you pick them up again later when they,
Yeah.
when ready for you. So that is thinking that flow, thinking that curriculum roadmap, kind of like a university, 101 to 201 courses to 301 courses into your graduate programs.
Yeah. Yeah, you're educating them in something that they came to you to learn from. So, and I mean, as much as we'd like to throw a whole lot on them with information and just like, this is what you need, it's overwhelming. And it's not just that they can't retain it. They can't
That's right.
retain everything, all that information. Most people can't retain it. And there's like a very small percentage of people that have that memory. What is that they could just like look through something. I mean, we're talking about not very many people. So you have to think about your customer on a whole and not just like what it is they need to learn and the different modalities they learn from. Some people need to write things down and have notes. Some people need to watch video and then write down. Some people just need to watch video. Some people need to listen to it with audio. But then you touch upon the bigger picture, which is down the road. Think about what they're going to need down the road. And a lot of people just come out just like, I'm going to create a course. Oh, I sold a couple people.
Right. It's not connected to anything like the real deeper dive.
Yep.
And I think it's important to note, and here's a practice that people that are listening right now, if somebody here's listening, they have an idea for a course, or maybe they're a coach, maybe they're an entrepreneur, maybe they're a teacher of some content, is just literally write down on a piece of paper my curriculum outline, my curriculum roadmap, and then start just thinking, just brainstorming high level. Gosh, I could do a free webinar. I can do that about this content for 90 minutes. And then how about I create a 6-week online course from there around this content? Then after that, I can offer a 3-month coaching package to embed that learning. And then after that, I'll have some kind of mastermind group to offer, or another advanced course in a slightly different content area, right? Or something, a parallel content area. And just brainstorm that. What that is, what the title might be, what the the dates even that you could launch that. And then I just call that just a very loose roadmap that anybody can do. And it starts germinating ideas and passion, juice, and the possibility of deeper transformation out of the course. Like, you're not going to get the deepest transformation in a 7-week online course. You're not. But if you offer a year-long that's limited to 20 people, you get to really do a lot with that group of people for that year-long program. And that's where so many teachers and entrepreneurs love that kind of deeper dive. And to plan for that is a really key thing. Planning it early on.
Well, it's beautiful because what you're doing is you're kind of bringing it back into you, and you're asking people to write down their thoughts. Like, what is it almost like, what is it that you would want to see if you were looking at this course? But when you do that, you kind of also give yourself that tunnel vision, so that all those shiny objects and what everyone else is doing is not in those peripherals. You're just focusing on what it is that you're going to put down there, which makes it more authentic and proprietary when you do it that way.
Yeah. And why we're on authentic, because that was just the first essential element, which was focus on transformative course content. Number 2 is about really focusing on what I call enrolling messaging. And I'll talk about that in a moment. The third essential element is about effective marketing practices. So that's the tactics of it. And then the last is what we're talking about is technology, using engagement-oriented technology to really support the course experience. And that's when you look at that, that's only one piece, like maybe 1/4 or less of the whole development experience. So I try not to have people think that the technology is the only thing, right? Like if I have that solved, I'm good. And so the enrolling messaging for me is teaching, what I teach is called the authentic messaging blueprint. And it's a certain way of taking your voice, what you believe in, and then really looking at the avatar that, especially for audience, that persona, that person that you think most benefits from your experience, and talking directly to that person with your authentic voice. And then I just teach a little structured conversation of how to do that. I call it the Dear Avatar letter. Dear Avatar, and I take them through literally the aspiration, and what's the aspiration, the problem, the diagnosis. Then it's the solution, and then the desired future state and the transformational outcome. And so when they have that, they get to put their authentic voice into a structure that actually draws that avatar into, I want that course.
Yes.
That's for me. I get it. That person is speaking directly to me. That
Yes.
teacher is speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
Because again, I can't tell you 90% of the time when people haven't learned about how to create a good online course, they put it on their website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have some title, and then it just says, this course is about this, and you learn this in this course, and right? It's just like a summary
Mm-hmm.
for the left brain.
Mm-hmm.
And those courses and people that offer those from those kinds of pages rarely succeed with them. You know what I mean? They haven't really thought through, how do I talk about this course?
Mm-hmm.
What is the authentic messaging that will draw that avatar into my experience?
Yeah.
And you cannot create a course for everyone.
Yes.
You can't. If you just think whatever you got to offer, like everybody could benefit from this, you're way off base. You still will have, who is that especially for audience? You know, people call it sort of the niche audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that, who is that I can talk to, though, that person?
Mm-hmm.
It literally is Susie, who's 42 years old, a professional, spiritual but not religious, right? You know, you have this image of Susie,
Mm-hmm.
and your marketing copy is speaking directly to Susie. And then don't worry, the outliers will come. Those that are sort of around Susie, whether it's male or female, or it's different age brackets, but it basically, you're drawing in your especially for audience. And so many people make the mistake of just writing it from their own, what they think is best about their experience, right? Like,
Yep.
This course is so great because of this, this, and this, versus
Mhm.
really understanding that avatar.
Yeah. and it's, I love what you're saying, because it's often that gap in between.
Yeah.
It's something that's missing. People try to skip over it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, like, this is what so-and-so, this swipe copy is what they pulled in, and that worked for them because they said later on they sold 30 of those.
That's right. Yes, that's a big mistake, right? People trying to pull too much from other people. Yep. And trying to re-engineer that, right, as we say, or reverse engineer it, and it rarely works. It's got to come. It may be painful. You and I were talking a little bit about creative outlet.
Yep.
And at times, as you're creating your course or writing the copy for it, it can feel painful. Like, I don't know what to say here, and I don't get it. But then something happens, like writing a song, right? If something shifts, or the chord hits, or you land on it, and then that authentic clunk, like that aha is really will make the difference potentially of a course that has 100 people in it, or if that, without that clunk and just trying to reverse engineer, you might have 20 people in your course. You know, like that's the difference. That kind of authentic messaging that pulls people in makes a difference. People don't think it. They just keep thinking, this is so great. My course is so awesome. People will just love it. And if you can't talk about it in a powerful way, nobody's going to believe that out of the gate.
Yeah, and I love how you're saying you're basically saying take yourself out of it and what your expectations are for it, and just make it about the avatar. And it's so true. Whenever you just kind of let, like, you know what, it doesn't matter what I think. This is just, I'm going to put this out there, and I really feel like this is what people are asking me for.
Yeah. Do you believe that too? Do you see that difference if somebody's really attuned to the avatar?
Yeah.
Can you feel the difference when you read copy? Because I can feel that.
I can.
You know, where somebody's really not attuned, they're writing copy about the course that's there, and I don't feel they really get who their especially for audience is. And then those that do, I really feel it. Like, wow, they're really talking to a certain person. And I think that more specific approach to get out of your own head and really talk to Susie or Betty or Dave is so important in the marketing and the messaging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been copywriter for years, and I always have that avatar, and I look through it, and it's not just that I look through it before I write. I actually feel into that person and bring that into my imagination and what they're going through. And then I write, because then I write from a place that it's not me. That's not my life. I'm imagining someone else's life and what their problems are. And then I can write from an authentic place to them with
That's great.
empathy.
That's really good. Yeah, the words I use is I call it empathetic resonance.
Yep.
So it's just a fancy word for when you're writing to do exactly what you said. And I love that. It's where you just tune into your avatar. You've maybe read some notes or whatever, and then you create that empathetic resonance, and then start writing from there. Like, and just keep it to the name, like Susie or Sarah or whoever it is, and like imagine you're talking to that person.
Yeah.
And of course, they're an amalgam of lots of people, but it's still like an individual personality that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
And then how you talk about your course and the resonance that people have to want to take it is so much different. It's like up 5 notches from just trying to describe it from your own head.
Yeah, and I find that whenever I'm doing that, I feel it right here in my heart, like in this energy space right here. And I often don't even I don't even remember what I wrote. So I'll just write it, and then I'll take a step back and I'll come to it and I'm like, oh man, that's really good. I didn't even know I wrote that. But that's how it kind of feels. Well, that's how it feels for me. But it's really, I feel like that's really simple. It's just kind of imagining that person and what they're going through, and then writing to them.
And I noticed in my experience with coaching a lot of people in this space and my Launch Academy program, I'll just name it too. There's a little bit of a gender difference in that men have a harder time to just drop in and tune in. They tend to be much more in their left brain and practical. And women too, women I think are generally more attuned to that. So I encourage the men to actually play with that as well, that are listening, to really drop into what you're saying and really see if you can feel and tune in, maybe create a mental image of that person. And for those women that are more in their left brain than their right brain, same thing. Practice tuning in to who is this person that you want to invite into your experience, course, your program, and then write to them.
And release any judgments on yourself.
Exactly. Be gentle with yourself. I'm so with you on that, Be compassion. Self-compassion is a good thing too,
Yeah, I'm very quirky in my newsletters, and it's just me trying to connect. It's not even trying to connect. I'm connecting, and for me, I like to have fun. And so I come from a place of that, and my husband's like opposite. He's total left brain, total corporate, and he looks through he's like, well, it's a little quirky for me.
And that's what I want. I want the quirky, but he's like, look, if somebody's creating a course for men and that's their avatar, they might write to him more like, this course is just down to nuts and bolts. There's no quirkiness here. And he might resonate with that, depending if that's the avatar.
Oh yeah, he's not my ideal client at all.
Well, for people out there that don't know this, right, Danielle, is that in the space, the transformational learning space, and even in the online learning space, the lists that people have, various teachers, it's still 80% women out there. So you women are leading us into this next phase of evolutionary development, and I think the men are coming along a little more slowly, but my personal passion is to engage more of the men in their learning and their growth. So to your point though, there's most of the people I work with, their avatar is a woman of some age bracket. Very few people are actually writing directly for men, unless it's like a program for men, like the whole David D'Angelo, the double your dating, or, meet the woman of your dreams, all that stuff, which, doesn't float my boat, but,
so. That's beautiful. I love that you're yay, women. I just have to say that. Woo, girls, they're doing it, or ladies, we're doing this. But I love that you're kind of tapping into the men and giving them permission, like, this is for you too.
Right. Yeah, I keep doing that. That's my personal invitation, is I keep looking for more men in men's lists and inviting more men into whatever work they're doing, whatever growth work, whether it's learning or creating their own business, leaving the corporate world behind, just empowering more men to live an engaged, fired up life. So.
Yeah. I love that. That's needed too. It's very needed. Not just that women need to, they need help from other women, but men do too. We don't want to leave men behind, because that's, we're here together.
Half the population, as we say, how do you bring the divine together, the divine masculine, divine feminine, and so that we're in full partnership with each other.
Exactly.
Because, right now there's a lot more work that needs to happen on the masculine. So it's right now. And I'm definitely here to be a part of that. I'm wanting to be a change agent for more men to grow and heal, and so that they're making different choices and decisions and everything going forward. So.
Absolutely. I love that we took that little shift, because I feel, for me, I feel it's the same thing. It's, bring the men, bring them and give permission as well for them to step into their own feminine aspects as well. So I'm so glad you're facilitating that for men.
Absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
can't do this alone.
You can't. And for those men listening out there, I've been involved in an organization called the Mankind Project for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a global nonprofit that helps men grow and heal and be in circles with other men and to live lives of missions of service in the world. So, so anyway, mankindproject.org.
Yep. There you go, guys. If the men that are watching, I highly recommend this because I think this is amazing, and I'm so glad that you're tapping into that as well, so that we are growing together, and we can't just let the women rise up and beat the men down.
That's kind of what happens on some levels. Kind of man, woman is good, man is bad. But it's to try to have more of that. How do we come into relationship and partnership in a new way?
Yeah, balance. I love it. Okay, so are we on 2 or are we on 3?
No, of the 4 essential elements, I think we finished them. We finished them.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the marketing tactics are just the marketing tactics, like partner emails and Facebook ads and all that stuff. That's the tactics. And then the last one is technology. And there is a lot to know there. But I think you were saying this at the top too. Yeah, it was almost your first question, is the overwhelm. Some of the overwhelm is in technology. And I will say that I do help people navigate all the technology that's out there. So part of what we do in Launch Academy is to give them the full survey of the different potential programs they can use and platforms. And there are a few that I like, that I think are great. And bottom line is you need, your back-end technology, which is your email marketing and database. You need your front-end technology, which is how you interact with your students. Like, what is that? That's like Zoom, like we're doing here. But that's a Maestro conference, but it's also the website for the course and all the materials there and the videos. And there is a way to house that. And then you need your e-commerce site that houses your products and things. So, so what I use is I use Infusionsoft and I use Kajabi to house my course, all my products, with the checkout carts and get the videos. And then I use some marketing tools that help me, like lead pages. But a lot of these platforms like Infusionsoft has its own landing pages inside it. So a lot of these platforms are getting more features that make it more of a one-stop shop.
So glad Infusionsoft did that. They just recently did that too.
They did just recently add that, right? And actually, Entreport has really good landing pages too. And Infusionsoft and Entreport are the kind of big heavyweights in our business. It's not at the corporate level, but it's more entrepreneurial, online marketers, e-learning people. Those are the 2 biggies. And then the next tier down is sort of like Active Campaign and Active Campaign and Get Response. And then below that is even MailChimp and Constant Contact and iContact, which you can use that, but there's such limited features there. And then there's other programs that are the front end where you house your course. I mentioned Kajabi. There's also Access Ally, which used and a lot of people use. And then there's Teachable.com and Zuku. These are all places where you house your programs, so people come in and have a lot of features for how they interact with your content.
And Thinkific is another one, and they're really good. I really like. They're very user friendly, and I love it when you get user friendly and clean.
And clean. Right.
And that's why I love Infusionsoft. I'm glad that you're talking about Infusionsoft because I think it's user friendly and it's very clean, and I like that. And it's also for anyone who's more visual, that's perfect for them because you really have to see your campaign and build it out. It's more visual. Entrepreneur is great too. It's just, it's different. It's laid out different. It's not quite for a visual person. It's more kind of is it linear or stacked? It's more stacked.
More stacked, They do have, Entreport now has their new visual campaign builder that's new, but it's not as robust as Infusionsoft, and you can't just move stuff around and grab this and do that. Infusionsoft is so great. You just literally visually move stuff around and add pieces easily. But bottom line is, if somebody is willing to invest, I also talk about budgets. Like if you're launching, there are technology for budget level here, the next budget level up, and the next budget level. But if you're willing to really invest in the business long term, then you could be fine with, let's say, Infusionsoft and Access Ally. Those would be the only 2 technologies you would need, because you can use YouTube for your videos, other free platforms that people are already using. So that would be in some ways all you would need to have and pay. But you definitely need an email marketing and platform, and you need someplace to house your course.
Yes.
That's a minimum.
Yep.
You know, and then a way to pay for it. You got to have your you know, your cart. Your cart. You got to have your
Yep.
you know, your Stripe or whatever.
Yeah.
So I try to simplify all that so that it's no longer this kind of, oh my God, it's 500 programs that I have to wade through or think about. I've kind of done that work for people to say, here's my recommendations and here's some different budget recommendations.
Yes.
If you're wanting to put it together.
Beautiful.
And then that just becomes, say again.
That's just so powerful. That information right there, taking the guesswork out of it, it could save hundreds of hours for one person.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like Infusionsoft is a complicated program. There's a learning curve to that. There's a learning curve to Ontraport, less so with MailChimp or Constant Contact or even Active Campaign. But it's worth it if you're invested long-term in it. Like you feel like you are a teacher, you already do workshops, and you really want to build your online learning platform to really bring it. Then I would say invest earlier on in that instead of getting into something and then realizing, oh my God, it's not, and then move to the next thing and then move to the next thing. Like it's not that much money difference to just jump to what's more best of class and just invest a little bit in the early going to have a better solution.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the trade-off, because Infusionsoft and Access Ally would be a total of about $380 a month, maybe $400.
Yep.
So that's somewhat of an investment. If you did Active Campaign with Access Ally, for example, that might be $150.
Yep.
So and that's a perfectly fine solution as well. But you're not going to get away with doing it for free. That's for sure. And to do it well. I mean, some people want that. Like, well, my MailChimp is free. Can I just use my MailChimp and then do this other WordPress plugin? Right? It's like, okay, you can, but you're going to run into a lot of challenges and a lot of problems. To market your offering and to produce it. Yeah.
And think about, and I love that you're saying this, because also, guys, think about the time that you're going to spend trying to get a plugin to work or to upgrade, and all that money, and it's really about thinking about yourself and your time. Like whenever I consider something now, I'm like, how much time is this going to save me, because my time is worth a lot.
That's a great point, because I run into that all the time, of all the headaches to make programs talk to each other, or to try to have a patch here because this program doesn't really do it. You know, if you go with Infusionsoft or Ontraport, for example, you're likely to have almost everything you need in one integrated package minus a couple of other things, and that can save you so much headache and so much time of trying to deal with the patchwork of technology.
And stress.
Stress.
Yep. Your time and energy is worth so much more than the final and monthly bill. It really is. Especially if you are, like you're saying, in it for the long haul. Like this is something you're going to do. You're going to see that when you take the guesswork out of it, and not just the guesswork out of it, but the stress of trying to figure out all these different systems, you're going to open yourself up to be more creative, to create more products that are transformational and that are experiential. You're going to have the mind space, the head space, and the no stress, so you can open yourself up for that creativity.
Yeah, well said. And I think it allows you to grow into a platform, long term too, meaning that there are features you may be not using now, but instead of trying to figure out how to add those, it's already there for you. So it can help accelerate the growth of your company. Because you can do these sophisticated campaigns as you get smarter and smarter. All of a sudden, you can do some really cool things in Infusionsoft with your marketing that you can't do in most of the other kind of main level programs. So it actually gives you a leverage. It gives you an advantage once you get beyond that first hurdle of just getting it all launched and out there. And then as you add stuff and start doing more and more programs, you'll see that the features and the support of those technologies are really helpful, super helpful.
Yeah, I love it. Baby steps to scale. Yep.
But I want to remind everybody that's just 25% or less of the whole experience, right? Remember, I'm going to say that again. The technology is, when you make your decision and you sign up, you're fine, you're done. But you've got to focus on the transformative content, and that message has to be just really engaging for people to want your course. It doesn't matter what platform you're using. They've got to want your course, and then you've got to market it well. You've got to be strategic about how you do that. And And I will say, to kind of complete the whole thing with the 4 essential elements, is I still, to this day in 2018, am teaching that the number one model to help you launch what you're doing are through partners, are through
Yes.
marketing partners, affiliate partners, those people that are in your network, your friends, your family, colleagues, that have some access to some lists, that you enroll them in supporting you to launch your program. We know it's getting harder and harder and harder, and more stuff out there, but it's still the way for you with your network to be able to launch that. And so that's the ground. That's what I say is the starting point. And then other things like Facebook ads and Facebook Live and Google retargeting and all that can be, much later, and when you have more money to invest in.
And I can see this is like another call that you and I could do where we could really geek out on this, because I'm all about like PR and visibility and how to make those connections with influencers. So
yes, that's right.
It's so important. And I'm like, I don't know how. Everyone's like, how do you do it? I'm like, you're nice. That's the first thing.
You're nice, and you're respectful and humble, right?
And you look for the win-win. I mean,
that's it.
It's the win-win. It's always the win-win. You always want to give and receive equally as much as possible. That's right down to it. When you're doing affiliate marketing, it's what's the win-win for everyone.
Right, and some people don't know the language we use, but we say joint venture, JV partners, or JV marketing, affiliate marketing. It all kind of means the same thing. But to your point, when we say joint venture partnerships, you really are looking for being creative around what is that joint venture that has that win-win. So it's not just asking, hey, going to as many people, will you support me? Will you support me? It's more like, hey, I'm really looking to build some partnerships out there in this where there's aligned missions and aligned visions of our work. And I'd love to learn how to support you and learn that about what's up for you and what projects you're working on, and let me tell you what I'm working on, rather than that kind of, I'm looking for partners. Can you support me? Right. And
you're gonna know too by talking with them and watching what they're doing. Like, you know what, I can support their message. That's what I always look at. I'm like, I can really support their message. I love what they're putting out there. My list would love what they have, and you know what? Because I feel that way about them, I bet they would feel that way about my stuff too.
Yeah, and I think that's I want to earmark another thing for everybody, or like put a pin in it to what you're saying is, there is so much in the industry now of just grabbing partners for the last 3 or 4 years. Just get as many partners, even if the list, because you never know what's going to hit or whatever. The problem is it's not thought from a strategic standpoint. It's just like partners. And what happens is you get more and more of these emails going to various people's lists where the lists burn out, that people are like, that doesn't fit for my list, but I promised I would do a reciprocal email blast. And so I am much more, and more of my colleagues, and yours probably too, are spending more time to be thoughtful and strategic. Is there a fit here? And if there's not a fit, being willing to step back and say, yep, I'm not, it doesn't seem like this will be good for my list. And maybe it's good for your list, but I'm not sure. And so that there's more willingness to step back and say, you know what, not a great fit. And we'll pull back the curtains. You and you're doing this summit for entrepreneurs, right? And who comes into my program or Launch Academy are entrepreneurs and change agents just like you. So as people are listening, we realize we have a very similar set of people and we have different programs and projects that are around a similar audience. So it's a natural fit for us to be in relationship and supporting each other.
And I like what you're doing though. That's like the other thing. Like I said, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited you're teaching this. It's so important. It's essential. And it really is where marketing's heading. And I would rather support someone who is taking people forward, moving them forward in the industry to have success, than someone who's just teaching you like, oh, just put the information out there. So it's a great alignment for us to have this conversation and support each other and get it out there more. I feel really good about it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And so that's hint, guys, if you're looking, make sure you're going to feel good about putting out the person you're working with and what they're, and knowing, like for me, it's kind of coming back to those core values of like, I really want people to have success. And that doesn't always end with me. That could be, saying, hey, go and connect with this person. They're going to be able to help you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's how I see it too. Who are partners? Like I'm very close partners with Jeff Affleck, who teaches
Yeah.
how to build. Oh, people will hear his thing too on
Yep.
your summit.
You guys
And
are on
so
the same day.
I would say, no,
Yeah.
great. Well, and it's such a natural fit. All these people that want to create a book and write their book, write their ebook, is a natural next step is to take that book and translate it into an online course.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I don't want to go and create the whole create your ebook thing. So
Yes.
Jeff and I are finding more and more ways to partner because we have these two really key components of getting your message out there in a big way out in the world.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're saying it feels really good to have those really deep strategic partners.
Yeah.
Really are complementary.
Yeah. Complementary. Yeah, and you guys like each other, so you want to
Yeah,
see
we like
each other
each other.
succeed,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
He's crazy, Canadian, Australian Canadian, and I was on his sail, but went out sailing last summer, and
Yeah.
so sometimes these partnerships can actually develop into really sweet friendships as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I'm so glad I have you two on here.
Yeah.
I think he came on and he recommended you, or
That's
vice
right.
versa. And I'm like, oh yeah. So your buddy, let's bring him on.
Great.
So Chris, I know that you have something for us, and we went a little over, but that's okay. So we want to open up the floor for whatever you want to give the audience.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. We're launching Launch Academy again this spring, and it actually starts May 8th, and enrollment will be in middle of May all the way through May 8th. And so I would love to invite people into that experience. That program is to help you do everything you need to do, A through Z, soup to nuts, to build your online course and launch it. So teach you my 4 essential elements method, and then all the pieces you need to put your course together. And it's a cohort coming together. It's a deep dive. It's a 4-month-long program, and it's so rich. It's so fun, and the people in it are inspiring each other. And sometimes there's people in the program that are wanting to partner with each other when they come out of the course. And then, of course, you have all the pieces that you need to launch a really kind of first-class, world-class online program. So that starts. I do have a couple of things, a free ebook that I can offer where they can get the link here, and also a free webinar that people can attend to learn more sort of about my model and to get some good tips on how to launch a course. So that'll be coming up in preparation for the launch of Launch Academy.
Perfect. And we'll have that available for you guys right beside the interview or underneath. I haven't decided where I'm going to put everything. It'll be right there.
Right.
And it'll be obvious. I'm very good at making it obvious for you guys. Like, click here if you want this. So yeah, that's amazing. And guys, I can already tell you're in really good hands. And if you're looking to make a go in the online space with an online product, this is the way to go. I know that for sure. I see where everything's heading, and transformation, experiential launches and products is definitely the way to go. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, I'm excited for you guys. Yay! Is there any last words you want to leave us with? Any last thing?
Yeah, words of wisdom. I love that. I do that when I interview too. I think for me, it really comes down to 2 things. It comes down to really feeling in your heart that you have something to offer the world, trusting that that's valuable, even if it seems like other people are doing it. It's coming through you. And then to be willing to bring that message out, or that teaching, or that way of coaching or supporting people, and take a step into where you're really wanting to light up more of the world with your message, and that you're willing to take a risk to do that. Because we need more people. We need more of those points of light around the planet that's helping to raise consciousness and raise awareness and help people learn and grow and heal. And the more people doing that, even if you have your little place or your little niche or what you do, it's so valuable to begin to bring that to more and more people. And the great promise of e-learning is that then you can build a community of people that love what you do all around the world. You can have students in Australia and Austria and China and in Europe and Canada and Australia, New Zealand. And that's really powerful when you have that stretch. So just go for it. I say, take a risk, step into that, bring your authentic voice forward, and light up the world with your message.
Yeah, and to tag on to that, when you do it, you give permission for others like you to do it too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's powerful. I love the trickling effect. Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate you coming on. And so much information, guys. I should have warned you at the beginning, get a pen and paper. But you can catch it on the replay if you need to. I know you're going to want to. This is so much valuable information and so needed, so timely. So, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, Danielle.
Thanks.
Be well.
We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.